So you've walked out of that building for the last time. The institution is gone. Or maybe it changed. Or honestly, maybe it just doesn't feel like home anymore. And I get it. The image of the divine you were handed probably got way too tangled up with control, fear, and disappointment to be of any real use to you now. But here is a truly profound reality. Leaving the structure doesn't mean the hunger just vanishes. That impulse, that deep need to reach towards something larger, something deeper, it's still there, quietly waiting in the background.
The truth is, you still want to pray. You just don't have a form for it that feels honest anymore. But listen, this isn't about adopting some new tradition or memorizing a new set of doctrines or pretending you have theological certainty when you absolutely don't. It's about recognizing that the simple gesture of reaching outward and inward is available to you right now, completely independent of whatever it is you do or do not believe.
Part 1. Redefining the act by stripping away the institution.
To figure out what actually remains when the dust settles, we have to perform a pretty radical act of reduction. We literally have to strip away every single institutional layer that has attached itself to the act of connection over the centuries. I'm talking about the required physical postures, the approved vocabulary, the mediating authorities, all of it. And when we clear that entire slate, we are left with this beautifully simple definition. Prayer is just attention directed toward what is most real. That's it. It's the act of turning your full attention toward the ground of reality, instead of just skimming along the surface of your life. You don't need anyone's permission to be still. You never did. You can simply turn your gaze.
Part 2. The contemplative toolkit. 7 practices for presence.
What we're going to look at now is a fluid spectrum of tested practices. Think of this as a practical toolkit, okay? Not a rigid hierarchy, and definitely not a new set of rules. You just take what opens something up inside you, and you leave the rest behind. Practice 1 is the breath. This is literally the oldest contemplative practice in the human record, and it requires absolutely nothing but the fact that you are already breathing. You simply sit, soften your gaze, and take one deliberate breath. Slow in, slow out. Then you just notice the next breath. When your attention inevitably wanders, you just gently return. Why does this work so well? Because your breath sits right at the exact threshold between what you control and what simply happens to you. Attending to it places your awareness perfectly at that boundary.
Next up, we have centering prayer. For this one, you choose a sacred word, and I mean any word that feels like an opening to you. It could be peace, open, yes, here, whatever works. You sit comfortably, close your eyes, and silently offer that word as a way of consenting to be present. When thoughts pop up, which they will, you gently return to the word. What you're doing is training your attention to release its tight, exhausting grip on the content of your thoughts, and instead, you're just resting in the open space where those thoughts actually happen.
Our third practice is gratitude as contact. Now, gratitude isn't just about being a quote-unquote good person, it's actually a highly effective contemplative tool. By naming 3 things you are genuinely grateful for, and actually taking a few seconds to feel them in your body, you are actively shifting the locus of your attention. You're moving your focus away from what is absent or what you lack and shifting it entirely to what is present and what you have been given. The gesture of gratitude acts like a doorway. It opens a channel of contact even when you feel like you've lost all your theological certainty.
Practice 4 is sacred reading. This is an ancient sequence made up of 4 simple movements. You choose any deep, contemplative text, could be poetry, philosophy, ancient scripture, and you read it slowly. Then you reflect on it, just letting a single word or phrase catch your attention. Next, you respond, letting whatever genuine feeling arises become your prayer. And finally, you rest in the silence that follows. The key here is that you're treating the text not as mere data to be processed, but as a living presence to be encountered.
Okay, our 5th tool is specifically for the really hard moments. The welcoming prayer is an act of radical non-resistance. When anxiety, grief, or anger bubbles up, instead of suppressing it like we usually do, you turn toward it. You notice exactly where you feel it in your body, and you literally say, "I welcome you, fear," or "I welcome you, anger." You then just let go of the desire to change or control the feeling. By dropping your resistance, you create the necessary conditions for the pain to actually move through you, rather than calcifying and getting stuck inside.
Now, for those of you who find sitting still completely unbearable, practice 6 is for you, walking as prayer. You walk much slower than feels natural, letting your attention rest completely on the physical contact of your feet hitting the ground. When your mind inevitably races off into planning or worrying, you just bring your attention back to your physical body moving through space. The body in motion becomes this incredibly powerful anchor,
effectively calming a restless mind in a way that seated silence sometimes just can't.
The deepest yet honestly most simple practice of the whole bunch is simple presence. There's no fixed time for this, no infrastructure. You could be waiting in line at the grocery store or lying awake staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., and you simply pause to notice that you are aware. You notice the fact that there is something it is like to be you in this exact moment. What you are looking for is what you are looking with. It's a bit of a mind bender, but it is the shortest path to true recognition.
Part 3. Navigating the dark night. What happens when the practice meets friction?
So, as you start using these tools, you are absolutely going to hit walls. I need you to know this is completely normal. The contemplative journey is packed with internal obstacles, and it's vital we navigate this friction with some clarity. The absolute most common obstacle is the racing mind. You're probably going to think, I can't meditate, my mind literally won't stop. Well, here is a massive reframe for you. A wandering mind is not a failed meditation. The split second you notice your mind has wandered and you make the choice to come back, that return is the actual practice. You literally cannot do this wrong as long as you just keep returning.
Another deep friction is the void. You might ask, but what if I feel nothing at all? The contemplative traditions across the board are unanimous here. Feeling nothing is not the same as nothing happening. An absence of emotional warmth or obvious feeling is not an absence of contact. In fact, this dark night, this profound feeling of emptiness, is very often exactly where the deepest, most transformative work is happening right beneath the surface. So keep practicing.
And hey, what if you are just blindingly angry at the universe? Bring it. Seriously, bring the anger, bring the grief, bring the profound sense of betrayal. Whatever is actually fundamentally true for you in this moment is the exact right material to work with. Performing some fake, false serenity you don't actually possess is the one thing that will completely close the channel. True prayer is honest presence, always.
Part 4. A simple daily rhythm for maintaining the thread.
Listen, you do not need an exhausting, complex schedule, and you definitely don't need to do all 7 of these practices every day. To stay grounded, you really only need a minimal, highly actionable structure to maintain presence. It looks a bit like this. Morning. Just 5 minutes before you even touch your phone. 3 deep breaths and 1 moment of genuine gratitude held in your mind. Midday, a single 1-minute pause. Just 1 breath to notice where you are and that you are right here. Evening, 10 to 20 minutes for a slightly longer practice, maybe centering prayer or sacred reading, just to let the day settle without trying to analyze or process it. This simple rhythm, if you carry it over a few months, will fundamentally change the quality of everything else in your life. Through all of this, please remember one thing. The goal is not to achieve some elevated, floaty, spiritual feeling. The goal is just to be present. Drifting is part of the human condition. We all drift. It isn't a failure. It's the very condition that makes these practices necessary in the first place. These tools merely exist to help you find your way back to presence, because presence is the only place where anything real ever actually happens. That institution you left, it might be gone. But the profound, unnameable thing that institution was pointing at, however imperfectly it did so, is still there. It was never housed in a building, it was never controlled by a single organization. It is fully available to you right now, right in the very body you are sitting in, right in the exact breath you are taking right now. You don't need the key anymore. The door is not locked. Honestly, it never was. The only question left is, what will you choose to pay attention to next?